I've tried the drip, and I have to tell you that I haven't felt no back pain for the first time in 30 years.
Hemp work has helped me tremendously. I used to have redness and my joints would swell up. And 4 months ago, I started taking the oil. And the coffee has a little special ingredient in there called chaca, which is a mushroom. And the mushroom is very good for you. You feel happier, so you're getting out there. You might start exercising. And your stomach just feels like it's not bloated all the time.
Love my coffee. Been drinking it for 2 months now. I actually had a review. I'm working remote and was told by my supervisor that they have noticed my productivity, an increase in my productivity. So thank you, Pryme. You helped me get my raise.
I want to just shout out to all of the HempWorks people who are buying the coffee, the oils, but something that hasn't been talked about is this deep conditioning hair mask. Now, I'm 55. I have to say, yeah, I'm going to just brag a little bit because my hair has never looked so good. So inside, you can see there's like these little seeds, which is organic hemp seed oil. It's really good for the hair. So just wanted to say, try it. You'll love it. I'm really happy with my hair.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Pryme talks about this all the time, right? You know, Pryme is the Prime Minister of the drip, and I can understand why. I use this every day, twice a day, and the enjoyment is on multiple levels.
Since I've drank this cup of coffee, I feel relaxed. I feel like my whole being is now relaxed. This good stuff, really. Wow.
Well, how are you, sir? I salute you, my brother.
Salute you too, sir.
This is an honor to have you here. For all of my guests, this is Peter Colla. Am I saying your name right?
Yes, sir. Peter Colla.
Okay, so I want to open up with this. Who is Peter Colla? Who is Peter Colla? A very interesting man with a heck of a story. I want you to share as much as you feel led to share for our first episode, because obviously we're going to have you back. And congratulations on going over there to see my big brother, Big Charlie. You're going to go see Charlie. And he's one of the best guys on the planet. Trust me when I tell you. And well, so let's just start here. You had a remarkable vision of Christ. Let's just go right there.
You know, how it started with me is I've been a practicing medical professional for 35 years.
Okay.
And I always tried to do the right thing for my people. I tried to a degree. I always wanted to do good. I would go to battle for them a lot of times against the deep state, in the form of one-on-one patient care, try to fight for their rights, et cetera, like that. Had my own private practice, I had therapists working for me, and I did that for a number of years. And then about approximately, but the more I pushed, the more the deep state pushed back. It was almost like they didn't want the people to get better. I just didn't get it, because a lot of times, helping them get better saved costs. And you think, well, what's going on?
Right.
Well, then about probably in 2008, I had almost a sort of come to Jesus meeting is what I can call it. I mean, I've had a near-death experience. I almost died. I wanted to, and I had everything taken from me, and to the point where I was going to call out, and I just basically was ready to end it. There was no hope. And for the first time in my life, that was just not possible.
Yeah.
And in desperation, I just called out without expecting to hear an answer. I called out to God, help, Jesus, help me. And he showed up. And it was as simple as saying, get out of the boat and come to me. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Get out of the boat and come to me. And immediately the fear left my body. I then realized, wait a minute, is this real or am I imagining this? The vision left, And I thought, did I imagine this? But then it was validated the next day over and over and over. Friends of mine back east, a friend of mine dreamt of it. He said, I dreamt of you stepping out of a boat and falling through the water. And I woke up screaming, and I went back to sleep, and I had the same dream twice. This kind of stuff.
Wow.
It's not about me.
Was that the same day around the same time that?
Excuse me?
No, I'm saying, did your friend have the dream?
The same moment.
At the same moment.
At the same time it was happening to me at the middle of the night. It was happening to him in the middle of the night, 2 hours later, because he's in Wisconsin time zone. My cousin. I hadn't talked to this guy in 6 months. And that was just one. It was just multiple. So that's the event. That was the moment. And it was at that moment I realized I had to do something different. So I'm going to my office, and I decided I'm going to put God into the scenario any way I can. I started praying, reading the Bible, do whatever I could. How can I do this? And I would pray to God, and it wasn't like he told me, he showed me.
He showed you, yeah.
And it started with as simple as just praying for people. I do it at first silently. And then he showed me one step at a time. It's like going to school. So what he showed me in a long, there's no reason for me to go through the nutshell.
Let me just say this, because I know a little something about Jesus Christ. I heard
of course you do.
Before. But when the Lord comes to a person, it's usually because there's a very high call, and there's a commission to solve a problem in the world. He has to come. He has to kind of give you access to certain things by ways of that contact. You're never the same after that.
Well, that is absolutely true. And as for your high call, that may be true or not. Maybe all I know is I'm a man who, I'm just a man who loves God, and I want to do what's right.
That's the kind of man he likes.
So I go and I started incorporating this, and I realized that I've been treating people wrong. That I've been treating to the symptoms, and it had been increasingly be pushed into my practice by the authorities, telling us to only treat certain symptoms of certain diagnosis codes. So I started treating people, mind, body, and spirit. And as I did that, he started showing me by bringing patient after patient after patient of all the same, like I was getting near-death experience patients. All of a sudden I get 15 in a row. 15 patients in a row.
You don't believe there's a high call with the pharmaceutical industry killing millions of people across the country?
Millions. Yeah, and it's getting worse. So when I started treating the mind, body, and spirit,
right,
I started seeing miracles. Sometimes they just occur. I had a friend who he'd come to me because he had cancer. He had lymph cancer and thyroid cancer, and they had to irradiate his whole half of his body from his face all the way so his shoulder's dead. He couldn't move it because it's been radiated. He couldn't move his mouth. He had to suck food through a straw through his nose. He couldn't even talk. He'd whisper. I look at this guy. He was a skeleton of the man I knew. I knew him my whole life. He walks in my office. He's in tears. He goes, "They won't give me treatment." I go, "What happened to you?" "Terminal cancer. I'm going to die in 6 months. They told me I'm going to die. There's nothing they can do." "Well, what do you want me to do?" I got these headaches. I felt for the man. I go, "I can help you with your migraines. I can do that." So I'm working on him, and I'm praying while I'm touching him, and I'm asking God, "Show me what to do." And I hear the voice of God very softly say, "For him. Don't treat him for what he can't do. Treat him for what he can." So I said to Gary, I noticed you walk in with a walker, but you can't even use that one arm. He goes, "Yeah, he uses one of those one hand walkers, the little quad, they call it quad thing, it's a little quad holder. It's a little square, little one-handed walker. He comes walking in with it. And I go, "I noticed that you're wobbly with it." He goes, "My right side is dead, but my left side," he goes, "it's very weak." He said, "I could barely get out of bed." I go, "Well, let's exercise your good side." So he's over there and he's lifting weights with his good side. I mean, when I say weight, 1 pounder. And he's doing it, and I'm treating him, and he comes visit after visit. And after a couple of visits, I notice his other arm starts moving too. Well, he's lifting with this arm, and this arm goes up. I'm going, Gary, your other arm's moving. He goes, yeah. He goes, I know. So he starts moving the other arm. And then before you know it, he's lifting a weight with that other arm. A couple of weeks later, and he comes for about a couple months, and then he disappears. And he's done. Now, he came to me. They wouldn't pay for his visits because they said, if a person's terminal, you can't treat him. But I treated him anyways because he was my friend.
Right.
He came for the headaches. And when he started feeling better, he stopped coming. 5 years later, I see him. He walks up to me. He looks perfectly normal. All that burn tissue's gone. He goes, I got you to thank. I go, Gary, you look great. He goes, I was healed. You know when I was healed? When I came to your office, I knew you were praying for me. He said, I knew, I could tell. He goes, your prayers. I go, Gary, if anybody, it's your prayers, Gary, that your faith that healed you, not me. I did nothing. He goes, but thank you. He goes,
God is using you.
He was perfectly healed, completely. The skin was completely repaired. That's just one. I've seen hundreds. And the more I put God into it, the more I started giving him the credit, the more I saw it. So I wrote about it. 10 years. Yeah. I cataloged them. I wrote them all down. What I did.
So this is a book of the miracles of your
It
ministry.
is basically a handbook. Heal yourself for God's sake. It's a handbook of step by step. Each of those different things. Praying for a person, putting your hands on them, using water, using light, using sound, and God, and these are real people. These are real people that what happened to them and what was the results. And it took me basically, and I just kept treating people. I kept writing, always one-on-one. And then, finally, he said, put it, I was always blogging it. I used to blog. I have hundreds of blogs on paulorpeter.com. People can read my blogs. They go all the way back to 2009. And you can read that.
Well, before we go there, let's look at the book. It's on Amazon.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
This is a record of your testimonials, the miracles. And also, by the way, all his links is in the description box if you'd like to check out this book. And I would advise you to check it out.
And people can write me too. If they write me directly, I'll send them if they pay for, they can buy the book for me and I'll send them a signed copy. I got one in the mail for you, brother. You got one coming. So
yeah, here, send me one.
You got both of them. So I did that book first. And then I started treating people, but the more you treat with God, so this is the part you have to really listen to. Okay. Warriors need to know this. You take these truths in. The truth was God showed me truths about treating to the causes actually helps people get better. Treating with natural things help people get better. Treating with prayer, looking at the mind, body, and spiritual causes help people get better, not just live with it. Okay. But they actually started believing they could get better. They started taking away the lies that you have this. No, you don't have anything. You're being afflicted with it. And the minute you see it for what it is, the malevolence leaves and you're just left with that little shell.
It's funny you say that. Somebody else said the same thing to me not too long ago. But I keep hearing this in my head that Jesus,
because it's true.
One of the names of our Lord is the great physician. He knows how to fix us, and he's in your ear telling you what to do. And now you're
and the part that really where we've been deceived is God created us. We are created in the image of God, which means we are creators. We create with our mouth. So when we say I am an alcoholic, you basically create yourself to be something different than God created you to be. There is no such thing. You only can. A disease can't make you into something else. An affliction, an enemy. I mean, all the armies of the world can't change a man. Only God and the man himself. See,
okay, so let's take a trip to the future, right? Yeah. Obviously, God has a great work for you to do. He showed you this for a reason. there's a great problem in our world when it comes to, medicine and sickness and healing. It's really bad. People are living oppressed. You want to talk about oppression. People are oppressed by sickness and disease and infirmity and so forth. And then here you have this great experience.
This is to show them that a lot of this stuff that they've been oppressed with they're a house of cards. They're based on lies. Okay, we are in a time, I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, I wrote the book the second book I wrote was during the whole comorbid scamdemic. I had a lot of free time on my hand, even though I was treating patients with that so-called thing. So I sat down and I started asking God, okay, how does it work? Not what does it do, but how does it work in our body on the physical level, on a microbiological level, on a quantum level. I studied quantum physics, and so he showed me what is happening when you bring truths in, what effect it has on our body, and that effect causes us to ascend. And so people have been talking about this ascension process for a long time, and what it really is your own body taking in whatever you want to. All truths come from God. All love comes from God. All healing comes from God. All peace, joy, happiness, all those things are from God. They're all the same. It's the same energy. So it just has a different name. It's all godly energy. And when you bring it in, and very important, spread it out. Share, because if you just take it in and don't share it, then you are the man who gets the coins and buries them in his yard, or you're the Dead Sea. Only water comes in and nothing goes out. And that is, God is very clear about what happens to people that they do that. Okay, so you are obligated
says it's
as a person who receives healing to heal.
You're
obligated
to become an instrument
person who receives the truth
to
share it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
All wealth.
And today,
all wealth.
Yeah, everything. Whatever your gift is. If your
Very
gift,
true.
some people are gifted with being healers. They can reach out their hand. They're like firemen. They can point the hose in the right direction. God does the healing. The fireman just points the hose and the water does all the rest of the work. Okay? Some people don't have that calling. Some people are messengers. They're like my wife is a wonderful messenger. She goes out and brings the message. She brings people. She's constantly telling other people about the message. Hey, you should see this guy's film. Go see Nino. Go see Mel K. Go see Pryme Minister stuff, man. You gotta hear this stuff. That's the messenger. She's the messenger. She's got great legs for that. She was a dancer in the Warsaw Ballet. So there you go. And so she's good at that. Other people, they don't have that skill. Some people are part of the body of the support system. Some people are the backbone. They have to support with their finances. They have to support with their administrative skills. Some people have to support with a good meal, or maybe something like that. Like a Martha that has to share in that way.
Keep on going.
And that's how you become all part of the body. All are important.
We need all the body parts moving and functioning right now,
brother.
Yeah.
So my point that I was trying to get to about today, okay, this is so important. People see this, okay? In the time of when Jesus was born, there were prophecies up until his birth. As a matter of fact, there were over 159, I think, prophecies that were specific to Jesus, very specific. So by the time Jesus was born, people were all looking around like, where is he? We know he's close. Okay, we know he's coming. Those prophecies in Jeremiah and in Daniel and all these different places that were all talking about his coming, and also talking about the end times as well. Now, we are sitting in the same thing today. People ask me like, oh my God, this is happening. Aren't you afraid? What about mandates? What about this? What about that? What about earthquakes? What about dumbs? I said, listen, look at where we're living. The last book of the Bible says revelations for a reason, because we're living in the time of revelations. It's being revealed.
Right.
Wow.
Very true. I was just talking about this with Pastor Joe. God bless. Salute to Pastor Joe. Same thing. Right. I'm listening, brother.
Revelation. Do you know what the word apocalypse means? I mean, you do. You're
We was just talking about that.
Apocalypto in the Greek means illumination.
Reveal.
To put light where
Right.
darkness is.
Yeah.
And shine light. Dumbs. We don't have to go farther than that. I'm sorry. Can I say that word?
You can say whatever you want. I actually can say much worse than that.
You know, are these so-called politicians that we've trusted and loved our whole life, and they're all, leaders of industry that are suddenly we're like, wait, this one's corrupt, that one's corrupt, that one was at Epstein Island, this one, what's going on here? Illumination, more and more, and we, instead of being afraid, we are in a time of apocalypse. It's being illuminated.
Yeah.
These truths are being illuminated.
Yeah.
The deep state is showing their hand for the first time in centuries. And people need to stop being, but they have to also recognize the miracles. See, everybody's saying, well, I can't wait for the miracle. I can't wait for the miracle. I can't wait. Brother, the miracles are happening all around us. Right. Illumination, revelation, apocalyptic illumination is a miracle. It is a miracle. If God didn't put his light on it, do you think the devil would have exposed it? Right. Why? He wants to expose Hollywood. He wants to expose, pedophilia over the whole world. He wants to expose the jab as being false. He wants to expose that they really want to kill you, that cancer is bad, that cancer is fabricated in 1932 because it was patented in 1932. You have to put chemicals into a certain position with an acidic situation. This is right out of medicine, and it creates tumors. So why not? Here's this guy who's up there running the whole show. He doesn't care who fights because he's running the show. It's his game, his monopoly game. He gets paid. He's like the gangster who sits around the card game, and he's getting money. It doesn't matter who sits down at the card game.
Yeah, he's gonna get paid regardless.
He's running the game. He gets his money anyway. Right. And he just you win. Oh, fight! You want to fight? Go fight. I don't care. It's my game. Right. And they sit around and they watch us. And at the same time, they create the problem, they feed it, they seed it, and then so there's three things that have to be there for sickness, okay? Sickness 101 that I try to help people, I teach them. A, you have to have a certain predisposition. That means they have to feed it into you somehow or try to get it to you. In the form of a bug, in the form of a poison, in the form of a bad McD burger, whatever. They feed it into you. Okay. Yeah. There's a seed. Okay. Then they have to make a negative affected area. They have to make an acidic situation. They have to make you vulnerable. Okay. So they do that by tampering with your stuff, so that your food is acidic. So preservatives. Give me a break. I bake my own bread. My bread lasts longer than bread that's bought in the store. It goes moldy in 3 days. Mine can last a week. So what are those preservatives exactly? They're acids. That's all they are, is acids and poisons that they can't poison you enough to kill you. They have to give you just enough there. And then comes the third part. That's two legs of a three-legged stool. The third leg is the curse. That's where we get them. See, because if we know it's a curse, then illumination. And when illumination takes place, there goes the spirit. The dark spirit flees. And you're only left with the power of God. That's why when you know that primarily this sickness that has afflicted you, aka cancer, has afflicted my wife's best friend, had terminal cancer, 6 weeks to live. She realized it was a curse. She saw it as a curse. She realized in her life where she had left the window open so the curse could come in. She closed the window. She begged for forgiveness for herself and for those who afflicted her. Boom, cured. Overnight,
Interesting, man.
cured. And I've seen it over and over and over.
It must be the truth, man.
It has to be.
It's the truth.
The truth sets us free. And so I took these examples. They come over 10 years. They come, and I said, why did Jesus?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. And I want to pull up your site too, for the people, who want to follow up and get to know you, paulorpeter. And that's paulorpeter.com.
paulorpeter.com.
Okay. And we'll talk about that in a second. But can you give the audience just like a practical place to start in terms of learning how to think this way? Because
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. You start at the basics, at the bottom, at the starting point, right at the start. Okay. The start is you have to assume if they lied to you about this, that they're lying to you about other things. Okay. That opens your mind to whatever. Okay. Now, what I tell people, and I've taught people, is, and especially in this quantum book, is that on the physical, we are very insignificant. Not insignificant. We're very small physically. We have enormous spaces between our physical energies. As in quantum science, they look at the mere atoms and how the distances between the atoms are vast. They're so vast, we should really be invisible, because you take a basketball size a proton and you put it in Chicago, and the first electron is in St. Louis, 600 miles away. So those little items can keep each other in orbit. No, they don't keep each other in orbit. It's the spirit that keeps it in orbit. So the mind is more. It gets everything that your body has experienced, not only what you see and are aware of, but it takes everything in. And people who study this, yeah.
Let me just because I want to just kind of like take a little part of what you just said and put it in a bottle, because it's packed.
Yeah.
But that ultimately, what you're saying is that healing begins with knowing the truth, basically.
If you can take yourself and you can take those same small physical, greater experiential or mental, and almost unlimited belief, and you can turn that into a healing process, apply it the same way. So instead of examining people just from the physical, which is what I do, I look at them. So let's say I see Pryme here, and I say, okay, that right shoulder of yours, I'm going to talk about your right shoulder, and it's like, what's going on with that shoulder? I'm going to say, and you say, well, yeah, I have this, okay, first of all, you don't have anything, but let's talk about.
What's funny? I actually had surgery on my right shoulder. I have a really bad.
When we get to the next show, I'll tell you how I knew that.
that was pretty. I was like,
another
okay,
trick.
I had to check
It's not a
what
trick. God told me. He said to me years ago. He said, "Listen to me. You look at a patient when they walk in the door, and wherever you think that they are needing it, it will be right." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Try it." And I had a patient walk in the door, and I go, "Is your problem there?" And I poked him in the back. He goes, "How'd you know? That was my spot."
Yeah, I got a big mark right here. Look, I don't know if you can see it, but
it's God, my friend.
I got a big scar. I got 3.
You didn't share that with me beforehand, did you?
I did not. No, ladies and gentlemen, he just said
so
that.
You look at the shoulder and you say, okay, now we examine that. Not only do we examine what happened to you, we examine what was going on in the mental, what were you busy with, and in the spirit. And then when you do it in the spirit, we also examine what the doctors told you was going to be your prognosis. Well, I had this operation, so I'm going to have to live with it the rest of my life. Well, okay. And we take that and we bring it into the faith-based scenario and say, well, what if I tell you that you don't? What if I tell you you could be better than you were before? Because it says in the Word of God, what does not kill us makes us stronger. It's in the Old Testament. I don't know the exact, but it's in there, okay? And if that's the truth, then God always tells the truth, and but we have to also believe that. Okay, so God, you said what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So I'm banking on it. Tell me, what do I need to do to make myself so that I can overcome this attack that happened to my shoulder? That's how we do it. We examine it from not just a physical, but a mental and a spiritual, and then apply a same kind of treatment in direct proportion and in direct counter attack to the problem, so that we are attacking it against the flow. For example, I deal with a lot of addicts, and I have had people come to me and say, "Oh, sorry, but I've been on opioids for 5 years. I don't know, So what we do from a physical, mental, but especially spiritual, we look at the spiritual effects. The spiritual effects of opioid addictions is primarily desocialization. People withdraw. They alienate themselves. They become depressed, or they basically hide and they withdraw from society, withdraw from their family, withdraw from work, they withdraw. So what do? As part of the therapy? You do the opposite. You make them socialize. You assign them something that makes them go out and socialize. Pick something. Walk the neighbor's dog. Go volunteer at the local YWCA and coach a little kids team. Do something that makes you socialize, and watch what happens. Boom! Immediately, the minute they see it as a physical attack and not something that's in them, when the attack comes the next time, they look at it. I'm not playing.
Right.
And the attack goes away. And then they're just left with that little physical twinge, that little tickle. And I can deal with the tickle.
We'll take the tickle.
It's the ongoing withdrawal that I can't handle.
Well, I want to put this up for the people, paulorpeter.com. I want to ask you where you got that name, because I actually love that name. It's Paul, just like Paul the Apostle, Paul, or Peter, just like Peter.
Well, it's funny, as you might say, when I first had my little endeavor with meeting with Christ, I had joined this little group of guys that I had gone to this breakfast, and then I went to this meeting that I'm trying to even think what the name of the writer, but it's the guy that started the Promise Keepers. It was the Coles. Anyways, I joined this class that is a men's ministry to learn to be a better man, basically. And it was interesting, and I liked it. And so I thought, I saw God, so I wanted to put God more into my life, and they spoke to me. So I joined this group, and the leader of this little prayer group, this little morning meeting, his name was Paul. And Paul him and I would always get into these discussions, and it was like, I was Peter, he was Paul, and he was always, we would get, and everybody else in the group would sit there and watch us while we were having these discussions, these God discussions about, well, what did God really mean about this? What do you mean about that? And so I told him right off the bat, I said, I'm going to start a blog site, and I'm going to call it Paul or Peter, because one of us is right. We can't both be right.
Well, you can both be right, but that's another story for another day, because we call that the
That's how I got the name, anyways.
We call that the manifold wisdom of God. Yeah. There's many sides, there's many ways of seeing things, but I want people to have your website so that they can contact you. Absolutely. If you go to paulorpeter.com and you hit contact us, when you scroll down, you see him there with his wife, and
then you see my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Where were you at?
That's in Cinque Terre in Italy.
You're in Italy.
That's you've ever heard of Cinque Terre? That's the four terraces. There are four little towns that are right on the Mediterranean coast that you can only get to by walking to them, because you can't even drive in. They're beautiful.
Wonderful website. You got all his links and stuff here, his books and some wonderful pictures, and you can contact him here on this. But listen, we're at 33 minutes, but I have to have you back. The reason is
as often as you want, brother.
Listen, brother, I learned this from Charlie too. If you ever when you go on Charlie's show, because you're going to be on Charlie's show, he's going to stop it right at 40 minutes. You know why? Okay. Because you can't upload the videos if you go any longer. So when I first started doing this, I wasn't listening to Charlie like I should have been. And I had 1 hour and 30-minute videos that I couldn't put nowhere because the videos were too long.
All right, brother. Perfect. Yeah, if they email me, they can contact me, and then I can give them all the information that they need to contact that posture.is.everything@gmail.com.
All of your information is in the description box. So you're good to go, brother. Yeah, and shout out to my admin who makes it all work. She's wonderful.
And a shout out to my buddy Nino. He's the one who got me going in this thing. Nino David Rodriguez. I love the guy, and
bless you. Shout out to Nino Rodriguez. What's up, my brother?
All right, bro.
All right, my brother. Until next time. So I'll be in touch with you, and we have to have you back. Also, I think you might want to be interested because we're working on putting together a panel.
Sign me up.
Yeah, for some natural healing stuff and some spiritual healing stuff. And I'm looking for the right group of people to bring together. I think people need solutions, and I think there's a number of different ways. But yeah, I look forward to having you there, my brother. But I love you. It was great having you on. Until next time, my brother. Where we go one, we go all.
Absolutely.
All.
Bless you.
All.
All right.